Hello everyone, this is Glenda Winkleman and welcome back to Creative Grandma. It's Stitch of the Week time and this week's stitch is called the Celtic Weave Stitch. It's number 237. I have had so many requests to do a video on this stitch. I'm sorry it took me so long. I finally got 2 samples made up. So we're going to get this project started, and if you're a beginner, just take your time, just follow it step by step, and by the end of this video, you're going to know how to do this stitch. So just take your time, you can do it. I have 2 samples. My first sample is this beautiful rainbow colored sample, and I used Red Heart Super Saver stripes. Now if you look, you can see it's a self-striping yarn, and this is the end results. Just gorgeous, gorgeous colors, and I just love this here color. This is called Retro Stripes. It's color number 4971, and that is available on their website. If you go to redheartyarn.com, you can order that right from their website. So this is the one in the rainbow. And then I also made my classic white sample. You can see how the stitches are interwoved. Just a gorgeous, gorgeous stitch pattern. So for this pattern here, you're going to need a worsted weight yarn. This is a number 4 worsted weight, and I also used a size 10J 6mm crochet hook. So grab your yarn. I'm going to start with a chain 30. So go ahead and get your chain 30 started, and when I come back, I'll already have my chain 30 ready, and we'll just get started right away with row 1. I'll be right back. I have my chain 30 ready, and we're going to get ready to start row 1. Now row 1 is a pretty simple row. We're just going to do a base row of double crochet. So we're going to double crochet into the 3rd chain from hook. So yarn over the hook, you're going to skip the first 2 chain, and we're going to insert our hook into that 3rd chain from hook. Yarn over the hook, pull it through that chain. Yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only. Yarn over the hook and pull it through 2 loops. You just worked your first double crochet. So now we're going to work 1 double crochet in each chain across. So yarn over the hook, insert your hook into that next chain stitch. Yarn over the hook, pull it through that chain. Yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only. Yarn over the hook and pull it through 2 loops. You just worked your 2nd double crochet. I'll show you one more time how to do a double crochet. Yarn over the hook, insert it into that next chain. Yarn over the hook, pull it through the chain, 3 loops on hook. Yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only, 2 loops on hook. Yarn over the hook and pull it through 2 loops. So go ahead and continue across row 1, and you're just going to work a double crochet into each chain across, and you'll end in the very last chain. You'll work right into that last chain and work a double crochet. I'll meet you at the end of row 1. I'm at the end of row 1. I have my beginning chain 2 that we skipped, which that does not count as a stitch, and then you should have 28 double crochet across the row. So basic, simple base row. So row 2, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to turn our work. So now row 2 begins our weave pattern. We're going to work a half double crochet into the first double crochet and a half double crochet into the 2nd double crochet stitch. So yarn over the hook, insert it into that first double crochet, yarn over the hook, pull it through that stitch, 3 loops on hook. Yarn over the hook and pull it through 3 loops. You made your first half double crochet. Yarn over the hook, insert it into that next double crochet stitch, yarn over the hook, pull it through that stitch, 3 loops on hook, yarn over the hook, and pull it through all 3 loops. We just worked our first 2 half double crochet. So now we're going to begin the weave. So we're going to skip the next 2 double crochet. We're going to skip the 3rd and 4th stitch, and we're going to work a front post triple around the post of this next double crochet stitch. So you worked a half double crochet in the first 2 stitches, you're skipping the 3rd and 4th stitch, and we're going to work in this 5th stitch here. Yarn over the hook twice. You're going to go from front to back, and then from back to front, you're just going underneath the post of that stitch. Yarn over the hook, pull it through the post of that stitch. You have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only. 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only. 2 loops on the hook, yarn over the hook, and pull it through 2 loops. You just made your first front post triple. Now we're going to make 1 more in the next stitch here. So yarn over the hook twice. You're going to go from front to back, and then from back to front underneath that next double crochet post of that stitch. And then we're going to work our triple crochet. Yarn over the hook, pull it through the post of that stitch. You have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only. Yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only, and yarn over the hook and pull it through 2 loops. You just made the first half of the first weave stitch. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back and we're going to work in the 2nd and 3rd stitch that we skipped, or the 3rd and 4th stitch that we skipped. Sorry about that. But we have to go behind these 2 stitches. So you're going to take your hook and you're going to go behind. So this is the tricky part. Row 2, I think, is the more difficult row, because when you're working behind the stitches, it's just awkward. So once you do this a few times, you'll get the hang of it, and depending on the method of how you crochet, you'll have your own way of doing it easier. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back and we're going to work a front post triple in this 3rd double crochet post, and a front post triple in the 4th double crochet post here. So wrap your yarn twice, once and twice. Now sometimes I try to pull my stitches back and kind of hold them there out of the way so I can maneuver them. I'm going to do this differently than what I usually do, just to try to show you. You're going to go underneath these 2 stitches here. You have to go underneath them from the back side in between. So you're going behind your stitches, and then you're going to come over, find that 3rd double crochet. You're going to go from, I'm trying to get it in the film, you're going to go from front to back and from back to front around the post. And the best thing to do is try to pull that stitch up behind your work. Just a little bit so you can see it. It's easier to work that way if you just pull that up. Yarn over the hook, pull it through the post of that stitch. You have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only. Yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only. Yarn over the hook and pull it through 2 loops. You just made your first front post triple underneath these 2 stitches. So if you look, that stitch is underneath and to the back. So it's kind of forming a cross. So now we're going to work a front post triple around this next double crochet stitch here. It's down in there. You just kind of got to look for it with your fingers. And like I said, when you first try to learn this pattern, row 2 is really awkward. Once you get row 2 down, you'll breeze right through this pattern. Yarn over the hook twice. If you have to, take your fingers and just lift these stitches up. Go right behind them. We're going to find that next stitch here. We're going from front to back and from back to front around that stitch. And then I pull up on it. I pull that stitch up behind these triple, and it's a lot easier to work. I'm going to yarn over the hook and pull through the post of that stitch. You have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only. Yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only. Yarn over the hook and pull it through 2 loops. So you just made your first part of your weave stitch. You'll always work 2 across one way, and then you'll come back and work 2 across the other way. So we're going to continue across. Now you have to remember your hook's kind of over here, and if you're not sure what stitch to go in next, always go down to this row and see where that last stitch was worked. It was worked right here. So we're going to skip the next 2 stitches. So it's a lot easier to go down here and count than up here, because this can really throw you off because you're kind of back here. We're stretching this hook all the way over to this 3rd stitch when we start our next section. So we're going to skip these 2 double crochet here, and we're going to work a front post triple into the next 2. And then we'll come back and work the 2 front post triple underneath these 2 on this side, going in the first one first. So yarn over the hook twice. You're going to skip these next 2 stitches. You're going to go from front to back and front again underneath the post of that stitch. Yarn over the hook, pull it through the post of that stitch, 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only. Yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only. Yarn over the hook and pull it through 2 loops. We're going to work a front post triple in this next double crochet. Yarn over the hook twice. Insert it into that next double crochet, front to back, back to front around the post of that stitch. Yarn over the hook, pull it through the post of that stitch. You have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only. Yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only. Yarn over the hook and pull it through 2 loops. The first half of that weave stitch is made. So now we're going to repeat what we did here. We're going to come back and work our 2 front post triple underneath these 2 stitches. So again, you'll find your own method of how to hold your yarn and work behind those stitches. It's just all in whatever is easiest for you. Now sometimes I use all my fingers. I'll stick my finger right underneath those stitches. I'll stretch my work to try to find that stitch, whatever is easier for you. We're going to wrap our yarn twice, once and twice around our hook. We're going to come in behind these stitches. And like I said, sometimes that yarn likes to slide down there in the way. We're going to come underneath these 2 stitches. We're going to go into the first double crochet we skipped from front to back and from back to front around the post of that stitch. And then bring that post of that stitch up behind these 2. Bring it right up as high as you can. Or sometimes it's easier to just take your fingers and move these stitches down so you can see what you're doing. Yarn over the hook and pull it through the post of that stitch. You have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only. Yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only. Yarn over the hook and pull it through 2 loops. We just worked our first front post triple behind that section in the first double crochet that we skipped of the 2. So here is our second double crochet we skipped. So we're going to work our front post triple in this stitch here. So yarn over the hook twice. You're going to come in behind these 2 stitches. You're going to go from front to back and back to front around that stitch. And then I pull this stitch, I grab it with my hook and I pull it right up behind those 2 stitches. Use your finger and push that down so you can see what you're doing. Yarn over the hook, pull it through the post of that stitch. Yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only. Yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only. Yarn over the hook and pull it through 2 loops. You just made another section of the weave stitch. And as you can see on this sample, this is what you're doing. You're doing row 2. You're starting to do your, they're like double X's. So you just made 2 of these. And you can see how your stitches go across and then the other ones come back through. Okay, I'll show you one more time because this is a little bit difficult to learn this row 2. We're going to skip the next 2 stitches. So always look to where this stitch comes down and it was worked in here, because your hook, like I said, your hook's up here. You want to make sure you don't count this as a stitch. So go down here and see where your stitch, where the last stitch went around the post. It was this stitch. So now we're going to skip the next 2 double crochet and we're going to work in the next 2. So yarn over the hook twice, skip the next 2 stitches, insert from front to back to front around the post of that next double crochet, yarn over the hook, pull it through the post of that stitch, yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only, yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only, yarn over the hook and pull it through 2 loops. We're going to work a front post triple in this next double crochet, yarn over the hook twice, insert from front to back and back to front around the post of that stitch, yarn over the hook, pull it through the post of that stitch, 4 loops on hook, yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only, yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops, yarn over the hook and pull it through 2 loops. You just worked your first half of your double X. So now we're going to go back and we're going to work a front post triple in this stitch, the first stitch of the 2 we skipped, and then we'll work a front post triple into the second stitch that we skipped, and we work behind these 2 stitches. Yarn over the hook twice. You're going to come down and go behind these 2 stitches, and you're going to go into this first double crochet here that we skipped. Let me push my stitches back. You're going to go from front to back around the post of that first double crochet we skipped. You're going to take your hook, grab that post and pull it up behind your work. Take your fingers and push those stitches down so you can see what you're doing. Yarn over the hook, pull it through the post of that stitch. You have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only. You have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only. 2 loops on the hook, yarn over the hook and pull it through 2 loops. You just made your first front post triple in the first double crochet that we skipped. So now we're going to work a front post triple into that second double crochet that we skipped, and we're going to work behind these 2 triple. So yarn over the hook twice. We're going to go behind these 2 stitches and we're going to find this next post of that skip double crochet. You're going to go from front to back around the post, take the hook of your crochet hook, grab that stitch and then pull it up behind these 2 triple. Use your fingers and push them down so you can see what you're doing. Yarn over the hook, pull it through that post, 4 loops on hook. yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only, 3 loops on hook, yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only, 2 loops on hook, yarn over the hook and pull it through 2 loops. You just made your third set of weave stitches. So go ahead and repeat that across, and you're going to stop at the last 2 double crochet, and I'll meet you here to finish. I'm over at the end of row 2, and this is what your work should look like. Doesn't quite look like this, but it will. The more you work, the more it'll look like the Celtic weave. So this is what it should look like so far. So I wanted you to stop at the last 2 double crochet. This chain 2 space doesn't count as a stitch. But like I said, when you're working this pattern, you have to be careful because, like I said, I'm here, my hook is kind of like over here, but we already worked in this stitch. So these are the last 2 double crochet. You're going to work a half double crochet in each of these last 2 double crochet. So yarn over the hook, insert into the top of that double crochet stitch, yarn over the hook, pull it through, 3 loops on hook, yarn over the hook, pull it through all 3 loops. You're going to work a half double crochet in this last double crochet stitch, yarn over the hook, insert it into that last double crochet, yarn over the hook, pull it through that stitch, 3 loops on hook, yarn over the hook and pull it through 3 loops on your hook. So the other thing to remember is if you start with 2 half double crochet, you're going to end with 2 half double crochet. And if you're not sure where you are when you get to the end, just look down. Okay, you work that last stitch in this one. Well, this is your last stitch you worked, but when you look down here, this stitch was already worked in. I don't know if that will help you, but that's how I watch my work to make sure I don't get off center on my stitches. Row 3, we're going to chain 1 and we're going to turn our work. So row 3 is a simple row of we're going to single crochet in each stitch across. So if you're new to crocheting and you're not used to crocheting on the back side of the work, what I tell everyone is to take your work and just turn it ever so slightly towards you and look for these little heart-shaped loops on top. That's your stitch. That's the top of your stitch. So we already chained 1. This is the chain 1, and you're going to skip that. You're going to insert your hook into this next stitch, our first stitch here. So insert your hook, yarn over the hook, pull it through that stitch, 2 loops on hook, yarn over the hook and pull through 2 loops. You just made your first single crochet of the row. So if you have to, turn your work slightly, look for this heart-shaped loop. You're going to go insert your hook under just those 2 loops, yarn over the hook, pull it through the stitch, yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops. You just made another single crochet. So you're just going to single crochet in each stitch across. So look for that next stitch, insert your hook, and work a single crochet. Insert your hook into the next stitch, here it is, and work a single crochet. Repeat that across your row, and I will meet you at the end of row 3. I'm over at the end of row 3, and I also like to try to help my beginner crocheters by, when you're looking up here, you can see this is your last stitch. But I also tell people to look for this little bar that looks like a little rainbow that goes across your work. And it's right at the end of the row. So if you're not sure where to go and you're looking at your work and you're thinking, am I at the end? Because a lot of beginners have this problem, and that's why their rows, the edges of their rows are not straight. So you're just going to turn your work. You can see this little double heart loop, that's your stitch, but also look for this little loop here. It just goes right across the end of the row. So insert into that last stitch, under those 2 strands. Oops, that don't look good. And work a single crochet. And that is what the back of your work should look like. And this has a little bit of ridging. This is kind of loose. It like forms a pocket, so to speak, behind your work. So that's normal, but that's what it should look like. That's the wrong side. So now we're going to chain 1 and turn our work and work row 4. Now row 4 is a little easier to do because we're going across the front of the work instead of behind the stitches. We're just going right on top of the work, and it makes it a little bit easier to do that stitch. So down here we have double crocheted in the first 2, but we need to offset this. So what we're going to do is we're going to half double crochet in each of the first 4 single crochet stitches. So we chained 1, we're going to skip our chain 1, yarn over the hook, insert it into that first stitch, yarn over the hook, pull it through the stitch. You have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over the hook, and you worked your first half double crochet. Yarn over the hook, insert it into that second single crochet, yarn over the hook, pull it through that stitch, 3 loops on hook, yarn over the hook, and pull it through 3 loops. You just made your second half double crochet. Yarn over the hook, insert it into that next single crochet, yarn over the hook, pull it through that stitch, 3 loops on hook, yarn over the hook, and pull it through 3 loops. You just made your third half double crochet. We need 1 more, so yarn over the hook, insert it into that next single crochet, yarn over the hook, pull it through that stitch, 3 loops on hook, yarn over the hook, and pull it through 3 loops. We just made 4 half double crochet. And like I said before, if you start with 2 half double crochet, we end with 2 half double crochet like we did in row 2. Now for row 4, we're starting with 4 half double crochet, so we're going to end with 4 half double crochet. So now we're just going to repeat the process. We're going to skip the next 2 stitches, but when you're working this pattern, it's kind of like the single crochet row does not exist. This is kind of like a filler to fill in these spaces here. It just helps fill in the holes. It makes it look more solid. So when you're working this pattern, you're always working 2 rows below. You're going to skip this row and you're working in the stitches 2 rows below. So when you skip your stitches, you're skipping these 2 front post triple that are in the row below the single crochet. So that's the second row below. So you kind of have to sometimes move these stitches over to find your stitches. So to start this row, we're going to work our first 2 front post triple in these 2 over here. So you're really jumping your hook over. So we're skipping these 2 front post triple 2 rows below, and then we're going to work a front post triple in this first one and then the second front post triple. So yarn over the hook twice, ignore the single crochet row, you're going to skip these 2 front post triple, and you're going to come over and you're just going right underneath the post of this stitch. You can just see it right here. You're just going underneath that post, yarn over the hook, pull it through the post of that stitch. You have 4 loops on the hook, yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops, yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops, yarn over the hook, and pull it through 2 loops. We're going to work our next front post triple around the post of this next triple. So yarn over the hook twice, insert your hook just underneath the post of that stitch, just under the post only, yarn over the hook, pull it through that stitch, 4 loops on hook, yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only, yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops, yarn over the hook, and pull it through 2 loops. you just worked your first 2 front post triple. And you can see how the pattern's starting to go up. So now we need our stitches to go in the opposite direction. So now we're going to put the yarn over the hook twice, once and twice. You completely ignore the single crochet row. You're going to go back to the first front post triple that we skipped, and that's the one underneath this set here. So they sneak themselves down in here. Just stick your fingers in there, pull them up, find it, go into the first one. You're just going to go underneath and back up around the post of that stitch, and we are working right over top of this section here. So yarn over the hook, pull it through that stitch, whoops, 4 loops on hook, yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only, yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops, yarn over the hook, and pull it through 2 loops. So you'll see that this stitch is going to cross over the top of that one. So now yarn over the hook twice, take your finger, find that next stitch that we skipped underneath, hiding, insert from front to back and back to front, pull it right up, yarn over the hook, pull it through that stitch, 4 loops on hook, yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only, yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops, yarn over the hook, and pull it through 2 loops. So now when you look, you can see that these stitches are coming up over top of these stitches. We're going to do that again. So we're going to skip the next 2 stitches, which you can see that we already worked in this stitch underneath. That stitch was already worked in. So these are the 2 stitches we're going to skip, the 2 underneath this section here. So yarn over the hook twice. We're skipping these 2 stitches, and we're going to jump over and work into these 2 stitches. So underneath that first front post triple, under the post only, yarn over the hook, pull it through that stitch, 4 loops on hook, yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only, yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops, yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops. We need to make 1 more front post triple into the second front post triple here. So yarn over the hook twice. You're going to come down and go in the front to the back to the front, just underneath the stitch. Don't go through the back of the work, only underneath the stitch. Yarn over the hook, pull it through that stitch underneath the post, 4 loops on hook, yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only, yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops, yarn over the hook, and pull it through 2 loops. And you can see how your stitches are running up now. So now we need to do the stitches that go across the top of these 2 stitches. So that is the 2 stitches that's hiding underneath here that we skipped. So if you have to, take your finger, move that out of the way so you can find your stitches okay. Yarn over the hook twice. You're going to come down and go into that first front post triple that's hiding back here. Go from front to back, back to front, just around the post. Pull that stitch up, yarn over the hook, pull it through around the post of that stitch, 4 loops on hook, yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only, 3 loops on hook, yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only, 2 loops on hook, yarn over the hook, and pull it through 2 loops. So we worked in the first skip stitch. Now you got to look at your work, and you really have to look and find that second stitch. It is hiding underneath there. These are your 2 stitches that's running up. Look for that second stitch that we skipped. Yarn over the hook twice. Go down, find that stitch. If you have to, use your fingers, pull it right there where you can see it. Front to back, back to front, just around the post. Pull the stitch up. Yarn over the hook, pull it through that post. 4 loops on hook, yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops only, yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops, yarn over the hook, and pull it through 2 loops. And as you can see, this row is a little easier because you're going up over the stitches instead of underneath. It just makes it a little bit easier to work. And you can see that we're on this row here, and you can see how it's starting to form. It's starting to form the pattern. So go ahead and work that across, and you're going to stop at the 4th single crochet from the end, and then we're going to work 4 half double crochet in each single crochet to the end. So stop here at the 4th single crochet, and I'll show you how to finish this row. I'm almost to the end of row 4, and this is what your work should look like so far. You can start seeing the weave pattern beginning. So I stopped at the last 4 single crochet. I worked like I said, when you're working this pattern, you're up here, but you actually already worked in this stitch up here. So that's where you have to be careful. You always have to be looking down here to see where that last stitch is that was worked in. So that's the stitch. Now we need to work a half double crochet in each one of these last 4 single crochet. So this we are working in row 3. We're not going down here, we're actually working these in row 3. So yarn over the hook, insert into that next single crochet. If you're not sure which one, just count 4 back from the end. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over the hook, pull it through that stitch, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over the hook, and pull it through all 3 loops. Insert your hook in, yarn over the hook, insert it into that next stitch, and work a half double crochet. Yarn over the hook, insert it into that next single crochet, and work a half double crochet. Yarn over the hook, insert it into that last single crochet stitch. That's where our 2 loops are, and there's the little bar that runs across the end of the row, and work a half double crochet. So for row 5, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to turn our work. Row 5 is just a very basic row of single crochet again. So you're going to skip that chain 1 space. You're going to insert your hook into that next stitch right there, the first stitch of the row, and you're going to work a single crochet. Insert your hook into that next stitch and work a single crochet. Insert into the next stitch and work a single crochet. Continue working 1 single crochet in each stitch across the row, and I will meet you at the end of row 5. I'm at the end of row 5, and you can see this is the last stitch. It has the little heart shape with the 2 loops, and then here is the bar right here that goes across the end of your row, and you're just going to insert and work a single crochet. We're going to chain 1 and turn our work. We're going to skip this chain 1 space, and we're going to work a half double crochet in each of the first 2 stitches. Yarn over the hook, insert into that first beginning stitch, and work a half double crochet. Yarn over the hook, insert it into that next stitch, and work a half double crochet. So now to work row 6 across, we're going to completely ignore the single crochet row of row 5 until we get to the end, and we're going to be working our stitches 2 rows below in row 4. So to do this row, we already worked in these first 2 stitches here, so then we're going to skip these next 2 stitches, and we're going to come over and we're going to work in the 2 stitches underneath these. So you're skipping these 2 and then you're working in these next 2 stitches 2 rows below. So yarn over the hook twice, and since you already know how to do the front post triple, I'm not going to explain it step by step. I'm just going to show you what to do. We're going to insert front to back, back to front around the post of that stitch. Just the stitch only, don't go all the way back behind the work, just the post, and work a triple crochet. Yarn over the hook twice, insert under the post of that next triple, the post of that stitch that's underneath these 2, and work a triple crochet. So for row 6, we're working behind the stitches again. So yarn over the hook twice, you're going to go behind these stitches and you're going to look for that 3rd stitch from the end because we worked in the first 2 and then we skipped the next 2. So find that half double crochet, go from front to back, back to front around that stitch, take the hook, grab that post, take your fingers, push these stitches down, pull that up out of your way, yarn over the hook, and work a triple crochet. We're going to wrap our yarn twice. We're going to go back underneath these 2 triple here. If you have to, use your fingers and raise them up. Find that next half double crochet. You just worked in this one, so this is the one you need to go in. Front to back, back to front around that stitch. Take your hook, grab that stitch and pull it up behind those 2. Push these down out of your way and work a triple crochet. So you just did your first section and you can see how the pattern's going up. This one's here, this one goes over it, this one comes back underneath, and that starts forming the pattern. So you're going to skip the next 2 stitches, and remember you're counting 2 rows below, so you're skipping these 2, and then you're going to look for your next 2 stitches 2 rows below, which are hiding underneath these 2. So you got to kind of like take your finger, move these stitches out of the way, and find those 2 stitches. They're right here. So you're going to skip these 2, and you're going to work a front post triple in this first stitch and then in the second. So always move these stitches out of the way. You're working 2 rows below. We're skipping these 2, and we're going to work in this one and that one. So yarn over the hook twice. You're going to go into that first stitch, go around the post, and then you're going to work a triple crochet. You're going to wrap your hook around your hook twice. You're going to look for that second stitch. You worked in this one. The other one is hiding right beside it underneath these 2. Take your hook down, front to back, back to front around the post of that stitch. Yarn over the hook, pull it around the post of that stitch, and work a triple crochet. You're going to come back and you're going to work in the 2 stitches that you skipped. So you worked in these 2, you skipped these 2, and then we jumped over here and worked in there. So you're coming back and you're working in these 2 stitches here. You're going to wrap your yarn around twice. You're going to go behind these 2 stitches and find this first triple that we skipped. and we'll work around the post of that. Whoops. Yarn over twice. I'm going behind my stitches. I'm going from front to back, back to front, around just the post. I'm grabbing it with my hook and I'm pulling it up behind those two triple. I'm using my finger and pushing those stitches down and bringing that stitch up so I can see it. And then I'm going to work a triple crochet. I'm going to wrap my hook twice. I'm going to go underneath these two stitches here. I'm going to shove this first stitch over that I just worked in. I'm going to look for the second stitch beside it. We're going just underneath the post of that stitch. Take your hook, grab the stitch, pull it up behind those two. Pull it up, push them down so you can see your stitch, and work a triple crochet. The color changes, kind of making it a little bit harder to see right here, but you can see how your stitches are going underneath and these are going up through. I'll show you one more time. Yarn over the hook twice. You're going to skip these two triple crochet 2 rows below, and you're going to look for the next 2 triple, and they're hidden. They're underneath these two, so you kind of got to stick your fingers in there and find those 2 stitches. So we're skipping these 2 and we're working in these 2 right now. So yarn over the hook twice, find that first stitch underneath the post, and work a triple crochet. Yarn over the hook twice. You're going to have to move these stitches out of the way and look for that next stitch, which is hidden underneath. Just gotta kind of find it. Hook, take your hook, insert it from front to back, back to front, just around the post, and work a triple crochet. We're going to come back and we're going to work a front post triple around the first stitch we skipped and then around the second stitch, but we're going behind these stitches. So yarn over the hook, take your hook behind these 2 stitches. You're going to find that first stitch, which is right here. Insert your hook from front to back around the back of the stitch and back to the front. Take your hook, grab that stitch, and pull it right up behind these 2. Take this finger, push them down, and you can see the post of your stitch. Yarn over the hook and work a triple crochet. Yarn over the hook twice. We're going to go back underneath these 2 stitches and we're going to look for the second stitch that we skipped. We already worked in this first stitch. You can see the orange wrapped around it. So now we need to insert our hook from front to back and then back to front around this next stitch, just around the post. Take your hook, grab that stitch, pull it right up behind those top stitches, push them down so you can see your post, and work a triple crochet. And that's how you do it. So go ahead and repeat that across, and you're going to stop at the last 2 stitches of row 5. So when you get to these last 2 stitches, you're going to stop here, and I'll show you how to finish row 6. Again, when you start a row, if you start with 2 half double crochet, you're going to end with 2 half double crochet. So work across, and I'll meet you at the end of row 6. I'm almost to the end of row 6, but I thought I better stop and show you how to work the very last repeat, because we did have the half double crochet here instead of the triple post stitch. So what we're going to do is we're going to wrap our yarn around twice. We're going to skip these 2 front post triple here, and we're going to work in the very next half double crochet stitch here. So insert from front to back, back to front around that half double crochet stitch, and work a triple crochet. You're going to wrap your yarn twice. You're going to go into the front to back, back to front around the post of that next half double crochet stitch, and you're going to work a triple crochet. You're going to wrap your hook twice. You're going to go behind these 2 front post triple you just made, and you're going to find the first triple that you skipped, which is right here. Go from front to back, back to front, just around the post, underneath the post of that stitch. Take the hook, grab that stitch, pull it up behind the 2 just made, push these down so you can see your post. Yarn over the hook and work a triple crochet. Yarn over the hook twice, insert it underneath those 2 front post triple. You just worked in this stitch, you need to work in the second skipped stitch. So underneath the post of that stitch, take your hook, grab that stitch, pull it up behind these, push those down, and work a triple crochet. This does get easier once you do a couple rows of this and you get the hang of it. You'll be breezing right through this. Okay, as you can see, always look down. This is where you worked. The last stitch that was worked was this one. Even though this was the last stitch you made, this was the last stitch that was worked in. So then you work, you have two stitches left, but we're working in row 5 now. So you come back up to the current row and you're going to work a half double crochet in each of those last 2 stitches up in row 5. And that is what row 6 should look like. We're going to chain 1 and we're going to work the last row of our repeat row. The repeat rows are 4 through 7. So now you're on the easy row. We chained 1, so we skipped that chain 1. We're going to insert our hook into that first stitch and work a single crochet. Insert your hook into the next stitch and work a single crochet. You're just going to work 1 single crochet in each stitch across the row. I will meet you at the end of row 7. I'm at the end of row 7 and this is the back of your work, and you can kind of see these little pockets that form. That's the way it should look. And like I said, that helps make it fill it in so there's not big holes behind your work. So this is the pattern. The repeat, you will go back and you will repeat rows 4 through 7 for the pattern and always end with a single crochet row. This pattern again is pattern number 237, the Celtic weave stitch. The pattern is available for free immediate download on my website, creativegrandma.net. Just go to the website. At the top of the screen you will see a button that says Stitch of the Week. You click that button and it'll take you to all of my Stitch of the Week patterns. They're all free. You can hit the picture, which will take you right to the video, which will show you how to make it. If you get the instructions, you just click on the Stitch of the Week, the words, and it'll take you to where you can download it right to your computer immediately. So if you get this and you try it and you think, okay, you put it down and you kind of forget how to do it, just go back to the website, hit that picture of the stitch, and it'll take you right back to the video. It makes it really easy to find, because when you go to YouTube, you're looking through all those videos. If you go to my website, you can find it just by name and picture, and it's a little bit easier to find. I also wanted to tell everybody, if you go up to the top of the screen on my website as well and hit the shop button, another screen will come up, and we have a large assortment of things on there. We have Creative Grandma patterns, which if you click on that, you can review all the patterns I have. Some are free, some are not. So that can show you some of the variety of things that I make. And then we also have affiliate ads on there of some of our suppliers and things that have beautiful yarns. Just a nice assortment of things that you can look at and purchase. So thanks everybody. I hope you enjoyed this week's Stitch of the Week, number 237, the Celtic Weave Stitch. And happy crocheting, everyone.